Hi friends, come on in, grab your coffee and let's sit together as we open 1 Corinthians chapter 5, one whole chapter today. This is a difficult but very necessary chapter, and Paul deals directly with sin in the church, and his words are still important for us today. Paul was shocked when he heard about the sexual immorality going on in the Corinthian church. A man was living in sin with his own stepmother. This was open, known, and apparently accepted by the church. As believers, we have a responsibility to discipline sin in the church, especially when it is so proudly lived out. Unchecked sin will paralyze the church and make it ineffective in the community. When we do address sin in the church, it must not be done in a vengeful or mean-spirited way. Our goal should be to help those in sin break free from it. God's commands call us to live morally pure. We are not to judge unbelievers who live in the world, but we have to get rid of sin in the church. Paul tells the Corinthians to exclude the man living in sin with his stepmother from the fellowship. Doing so would leave this man without any support and comfort from the church and leave him alone with Satan. Sometimes tough love is the best love, and this very thing might have been just what this man needed in order to bring him to repentance. This option should be a last resort for churches when it comes to disciplining believers. Our role is not to hurt people, but to help those struggling with sin. Paul actually addressed this situation in a previous letter to the Corinthian church. That letter was never preserved and is known as the lost letter. He tells us plainly to not have any contact with anyone who claims to be a Christian, yet indulges in sexual sin, greed, idolatry, abusive behavior, or cheating people. So don't even eat with such people. If we were to actually apply what Paul says here today, many megachurches would close their doors, and rightfully so. Sin should not be tolerated in the church, especially explicit and deliberate sin. A person who deliberately lives in sin is not fit to share the gospel message. Matthew 18 verse 15 through 17 gives us clear steps on how we should handle it when fellow believers sin. It says, first go and confront the person alone. Then take one or two witnesses with you if they refuse to stop sinning. If they still refuse, bring the matter to the church and then treat them as an unbeliever. This passage in 1 Corinthians 5 is not about small matters or individual problems between believers. It is instructing us on how to deal with deliberate sin by a person who claims to be a Christian and still sins without any remorse. The church is called to be holy, like God is holy. We cannot ignore unrepentant, blatant sin. At the same time, our heart must always be restoration, not destruction. So let's be a church that loves people enough to speak the truth in love when it's necessary, while showing grace to those who are struggling. Thank you for joining me today as we worked through this challenging chapter. And if 1 Corinthians 5 challenged or encouraged you about how we handle sin in the church, would you please share the video with a friend? God willing, I will see you tomorrow as we continue in chapter 6. Until then, let's pursue holiness while showing grace and love to one another. And remember, you are deeply, deeply loved. Shalom.